My family stranded me in another state, laughing. Let's see if she makes it back. They drove off. I never returned. 15 years later, they found me. My phone showed 107 missed calls, but I'm not theirs anymore. Their betrayal built me. Now, I'm successful and they're nothing. My revenge is my triumph and their calls are just noise. So picture this. I'm 18, fresh out of high school, and my family decides to take what they called a bonding road trip to Colorado. Real talk, I should have seen the red flags from jump. My older brother Jake and my dad were always pulling pranks that went way too far, and mom just went along with whatever kept the peace. But hey, I was young and stupid, thinking maybe this trip would actually bring us closer together. We pile into Dad's beat-up Chevy Suburban. You know the type. The one that guzzles gas like it's going out of style and sounds like a diesel truck, even though it's not. Jake's riding shotgun, Mom's in the middle row with all our snacks and her crossword puzzles, and I'm stuck in the back with the luggage and camping gear. Classic youngest kid treatment, no cap. The drive from our place in Ohio to Colorado was supposed to be this whole family adventure thing. Dad kept talking about how we were going to hit all these roadside attractions, maybe catch a Rockies game, if we timed it right. Mom packed enough PB&J sandwiches to feed a small army, and Jake brought his guitar thinking he was going to serenade us for 12 hours straight. Honestly, for the first day or two, it wasn't terrible. We stopped at this random diner in Kansas that had the best apple pie I've ever tasted, took some goofy photos at this giant ball of twine, typical road trip stuff. But then we get to Colorado Springs, and that's when everything went sideways. We're at this rest stop, one of those places with the fancy visitor center and clean bathrooms that makes you feel like you've hit the jackpot after hours of sketchy gas stations. I go inside to use the facilities and grab a Coke from the vending machine. Takes me maybe 10 minutes, tops. I walk back outside, and the Suburban's gone, like, completely vanished. At first, I'm thinking maybe they moved to a different parking spot or went to get gas, but I'm walking around this whole rest area checking every corner and nothing. That's when I see Jake's stupid face pressed against the passenger window of our truck, about a quarter-mile down the highway, laughing his butt off. Dad's behind the wheel, and I can see him cracking up too. They actually drove away, left me, standing there with nothing but my phone, my wallet with maybe 40 bucks in cash, and the clothes on my back. I'm calling Dad's cell, Jake's cell, Mom's cell. Nobody's picking up. Finally, Jake texts me back with a bunch of crying, laughing emojis and says, "Let's see if you can make it back home without Mommy and Daddy. Consider it your real graduation test. Real mature, right?" I'm standing in this parking lot in Colorado Springs like, what the heck just happened? Other families are walking by with their kids, loading up their minivans and SUVs, probably thinking, I'm some runaway or something. This elderly couple in matching Denver Broncos shirts even asked if I needed help, but I was too embarrassed to explain that my own family had basically dumped me like yesterday's trash. Update. So I'm getting tons of messages asking what I did next and if my family was actually serious about leaving me. Trust me, I had the same questions. But here's where things get interesting. Should I tell you about the stranger who changed everything, or do you want to hear about my family's reaction when they realized I wasn't coming home? I spent that first night in a Motel 6 that smelled like cigarettes and broken dreams. Used half my cash just to get a room, lived off vending machine snacks and whatever free breakfast they had. Keep trying to call home, but nobody's answering. Finally, around midnight, Mom calls me back. She's crying, saying Dad and Jake thought I'd figure out how to get home in a day or two, that it was supposed to be funny. She keeps apologizing, but then she hits me with the kicker. They don't have money to come back and get me. They used up their gas money getting home, and Dad's paycheck doesn't come until next week, so basically, I'm stuck. 18 years old, in a state I've never been to with maybe 20 bucks left to my name. Mom says she'll wire me some money for a Greyhound ticket, but Western Union wants all these fees and verification stuff that's going to take days to sort out. Meanwhile, I'm watching my Motel 6 bill rack up and realizing I might be sleeping in the parking lot pretty soon. That's when I meet Carol. She's working the front desk at the motel, probably in her 50s, with this Colorado mountain woman vibe. You know, flannel shirts, hiking boots, the whole nine. She notices I've been hanging around the lobby for hours, probably looking like a lost puppy. Finally asks me what's going on. I break down and tell her everything. The whole ridiculous story about my family driving off, leaving me stranded, thinking, it's hilarious. Carol just listens, nodding along, getting madder by the minute. When I finish, she looks me dead in the eye and says, "Honey, that's not a prank. That's abandonment. And no family worth a damn would do that to their own blood." Turns out Carol owns this little diner about 10 minutes from the motel. Nothing fancy, just your typical small-town breakfast spot with checkered floors and vinyl, booths that have seen better days. But she offers me a job on the spot. Dishwashing, food prep, whatever needs doing. Says I can crash in the back room until I get on my feet. The pay's not much, but it's honest work, and she throws in meals. First few weeks were rough, no lie. I'm learning how to work a real job, living in basically a storage room with a cot and a mini fridge, calling home every few days, begging my family to send me money for a bus ticket. But every conversation is the same. Dad saying I need to learn to be independent. Jake acting like the whole thing is still one big joke. Mom crying but not actually doing anything to help. After about a month, something clicked. Maybe it was washing dishes 12 hours a day, or maybe it was Carol treating me with more respect than my own family ever did, but I stopped calling home. Just stopped. If they wanted to abandon me as a joke, fine. I'd show them what abandonment really looked like. Carol became like the mom I never had. She taught me how to cook, how to balance a register, how to deal with difficult customers without losing my cool. Introduced me to her friends around town, people who'd lived in Colorado, their whole lives and treated me like family from day one. There was Mike, who ran the auto shop next door, always making sure my beat-up Honda Civic I eventually bought was running smooth. There was Sarah from the library, who helped me sign up for community college classes. Real people who gave a damn about me succeeding. I threw myself into everything, worked at the diner during the day, took night classes at the local community college, saved every penny I could, started with basic business courses, but then got into marketing and communications. Turns out I had a real knack for understanding what people wanted and how to give it to them. The diner became my laboratory. I convinced Carol to let me redesign the menu, update their social media, bring in live music on weekends. Within 6 months, we went from barely breaking even to having lines out the door on Sunday mornings. Carol started calling me her secret weapon. Update. You guys are asking how my family reacted when they realized I wasn't coming back. Well, here's the thing. They didn't reach out for almost 3 years. But when they finally did, what they found wasn't the scared 18-year-old they'd left behind. Should I tell you about my first big business success, or jump to the phone call that changed everything? By year 3, I wasn't just working at the diner anymore. I'd started my own little marketing consulting business on the side, helping local restaurants and shops get their acts together. Nothing huge, but I was making decent money and building a reputation. Carol was so proud, she'd tell anyone who'd listen about her girl who turned the diner around. That's when I got my first real break. This regional restaurant chain was struggling with their Colorado locations, hemorrhaging money left and right. Through word of mouth, they heard about this young woman who'd worked miracles for small businesses in Colorado Springs. They offered me a contract that was more money than I'd ever seen in my life. I killed it, completely revolutionized their marketing strategy, redesigned their customer experience, trained their staff on real hospitality. Within 8 months, their Colorado locations went from red to black, and corporate was asking me to expand to their other markets. That contract led to another, then another. By year 5, I had my own firm with 3 employees and clients across the Mountain West. By year 7, we'd gone national. I'm talking Fortune 500 companies paying me 6 figures to fix their customer engagement problems. Meanwhile, back in Ohio, my family's life was falling apart. Dad got laid off from the factory and couldn't find steady work. Jake dropped out of college and moved back home with his girlfriend and baby. Mom was working 2 part-time jobs just to keep the lights on. They'd moved from our childhood house to some sketchy apartment complex on the wrong side of town. I knew all this because Carol kept tabs on them through Facebook and local news back home. She'd show me stuff sometimes. Photos of Jake looking rough, Dad posting angry political rants, Mom's worried status updates about bills and stress. Part of me felt bad, but mostly I felt vindicated. This is what happens when you treat people like garbage. Then came the phone call. Year 10 of my Colorado life. I'm sitting in my downtown Denver office. Yeah, I'd moved to the big city by then. When my phone starts buzzing, Dad's number. I hadn't heard from any of them in 7 years at that point. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Hello? Sweetheart? Oh my God, is this really you? It's Mom, crying before she even gets a full sentence out. Apparently Dad had given her the phone because he was too proud to make the call himself. We've been trying to find you for years, she says. We hired a private investigator and everything. We're so sorry about what happened. We were stupid and young and thought it was funny, but we never meant for you to disappear forever. I'm sitting there listening to this woman who gave birth to me, who watched her husband and son abandon me for laughs, trying to convince me that they're the real victims here. She keeps going on about how they've been worried sick, how they thought something terrible had happened to me, how they've missed me every single day. We want to make things right, she says. Can you come home? Can we talk about this like a family? Home. That word hit different after 10 years of building my own life. Colorado was home. My team at the marketing firm was family. The friends I'd made, the community I'd built, the success I'd earned, that was real. Ohio was just a place where some people who shared my DNA had taught me that I couldn't count on anyone but myself. I am home, I told her. And you made your choice 10 years ago when you drove away laughing. She started crying harder, begging me to reconsider, saying Dad was willing to apologize, that Jake felt terrible about the whole thing. I listened, for a while, then hung up. But they didn't stop. Over the next few months, I get calls from all of them. Dad, trying to sound authoritative like he used to, telling me it's time to stop this childish nonsense and come back to my real family. Jake, acting like we're old buddies, saying he wants to visit Colorado and see how I'm doing. Mom just crying and apologizing over and over. The calls became more frequent when they figured out I'd done well for myself. Suddenly, Dad's talking about how proud he is of my success, how he always knew I had it in me. Jake's asking if there might be opportunities for him in my business. Mom's hinting about how tight money is back home, how they could really use some help. Update. This is where it gets really wild. They found my business address and decided to show up unannounced. But after 15 years of building my own empire, I wasn't the same person they'd abandoned. What do you think I should have done when I saw them standing in my lobby? Year 15. I'm running a multi-million-dollar marketing consultancy with offices in 6 states. Got my own place in the mountains, a Tesla in the garage, and more money in the bank than my family ever dreamed of. Life is good. Better than good. It's everything I never thought possible when I was that scared 18-year-old sleeping in a motel storage room. Then my assistant buzzes me on a Tuesday afternoon. There's a family here to see you. They say they're your parents and brother, but they're not on your calendar. My blood goes cold. After 15 years, they actually showed up. I walk out to the lobby, and there they are. Dad looks older, grayer, wearing clothes that have seen better days. Jake's put on weight, got that rough look of someone who's been struggling for years. Mom's barely recognizable. Stress and time haven't been kind to her. They're standing there in my beautiful glass and steel lobby, looking completely out of place among the modern furniture and expensive art. My receptionist is trying to be polite, but she clearly doesn't know what to do with these people who claim to be my family. Surprise, Jake says, trying to flash that same grin from 15 years ago. Thought we'd come see how our girl's doing. Our girl. Like they had any right to claim me after what they'd done. Dad steps forward, trying to take charge like he always did. We drove straight through from Ohio. Wanted to see your success for ourselves. You've done real good, kiddo. Kiddo. The same condescending nickname he used when I was little, and he thought I was too young to understand adult conversations. Mom's just staring at me, tears streaming down her face. You look so professional, she whispers, so successful. We're so proud of you. The whole lobby goes quiet. My employees are pretending to work while obviously listening to every word. This is the moment I've been unconsciously preparing for since that day they drove away laughing. Security, I say to my receptionist, not taking my eyes off them. Please escort these people out of the building. Dad's face goes red. Now hold on just a minute. We're your family. We drove 18 hours to see you. You drove 18 hours to see what you could get from me, I correct him. Same as every phone call for the past 5 years. You didn't come here to apologize or make amends. You came here because you're broke and desperate and think I owe you something. Jake tries to jump in. Come on, sis. That's ancient history. We were kids being stupid. Can't we just move on? Ancient history? I laugh, but there's no humor in it. You abandoned me in another state as a joke. You left me with $40 and thought it was hilarious. When I called begging for help, you ignored me. When I needed my family most, you treated me like garbage. Mom's crying harder now. We were wrong. We know we were wrong, but we're family. Family forgives. No, I say, and my voice is steady as steel. Family doesn't abandon each other for laughs. Family doesn't drive away while their daughter is calling for help. Family doesn't ignore someone for 3 years, then suddenly care when they find out she's successful. Security shows up. 2 professional, polite guys who know how to handle situations like this without making a scene. But before they can move, I have one more thing to say. You taught me something valuable 15 years ago. You taught me that I can't count on anyone but myself, that the people who claim to love you will hurt you worst of all, that success is the best revenge, and kindness has to be earned. I look at each of them one more time. Dad, red-faced and angry that his authority means nothing here. Jake, finally understanding that his charm won't work on me anymore. Mom, broken and crying, realizing that some bridges burn completely. Colorado, Springs, I continue. That rest stop where you drove away laughing, that's where my real life began. Everything good that's happened to me, every success, every moment of happiness, it all started the day you abandoned me. So thank you. Thank you for showing me exactly who you really are. Security escorts them out. They're arguing, protesting, making a scene in the parking lot. But I'm already walking back to my office, back to my real life, back to the family I chose and the success I earned. My phone starts buzzing immediately. Dad calling, then Jake, then Mom, call after call after call. By the end of the week, I have 107 missed calls from various Ohio numbers. Friends of theirs, relatives I barely remember, people trying to guilt me into talking to them. I block every single number. That night, I drive up to my place in the mountains. It's beautiful up there, quiet, peaceful, with a view of the Rockies that takes your breath away. I pour myself a glass of wine, sit on my deck, and think about that scared 18-year-old girl who thought her world was ending when her family drove away. She had no idea she was actually being set free. Carol calls to check on me. She's retired now, but we still talk every week. She knows about my family showing up, knows how hard it was to face them after all these years. You did the right thing, she tells me. Some people think blood makes you family, but blood doesn't mean anything if there's no love behind it. You built your own family out here. People who chose to love you, who earned the right to be in your life. She's right. My team at work, who've been with me for years and celebrate every success like it's their own. My friends here in Colorado, who know my story and admire the strength it took to rebuild my life. The community I've built through my business, helping other companies succeed and watching their people thrive. That's my real family. That's what matters. My phone buzzes one more time. Another Ohio number I don't recognize. I decline the call and turn off my phone completely. The next morning, I wake up in my beautiful house, in the state that saved my life, surrounded by everything I've built with my own hands and my own determination. I make coffee, check the view of the mountains, and start planning my next business expansion. Somewhere in Ohio, my birth family is probably still making calls, still trying to find a way back into my life now that it's worth something. But their calls are just noise now, static from a past that shaped me, but doesn't define me. They thought abandoning me would teach me a lesson about independence. They were right, just not the way they expected. I learned that I'm stronger than I ever imagined. I learned that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the best thing that ever happened to you. I learned that success isn't just about money or business achievements. It's about choosing who gets to be part of your story. 15 years ago, they drove away laughing, thinking they'd left behind a helpless kid who'd come crawling back within days. Instead, they created their own worst nightmare, a daughter who succeeded beyond their wildest dreams and didn't need them at all. Their betrayal built me. Their abandonment freed me. Their cruelty taught me kindness. Their failure made my success even sweeter. And now, when they call begging for forgiveness, for money, for a place in the life they tried to destroy, I have the greatest power of all, the power to say no. My name is on buildings now. My company employs hundreds of people. My success story gets told at business conferences and entrepreneurship seminars, and none of it would exist if they hadn't driven away that day in Colorado. Springs, they're nothing now. Struggling, desperate, broke, living with the consequences of 15 years of bad decisions. Meanwhile, I'm everything they never thought I could be. Their phone calls aren't desperate pleas from family. They're just noise from strangers who happen to share my DNA. And I've got better things to do than listen to noise. The mountains are calling. My business is thriving, and my real family, the one I chose and built myself, is waiting for me to continue the amazing life I created from the ashes of their betrayal. Colorado is home. Success is my revenge. And their calls will keep going straight to voicemail where they belong.